So with us today, we have several panelists and the Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Rosalie Carpenter. So I will turn it over to her.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. And good evening. We are so excited to have folks join us for our transfer panel this afternoon. Evening now. Sorry, not this afternoon, this evening. I myself was a transfer. I transferred in undergrad. So this is a really special panel for me. And I'm excited that folks have tuned in. So we're really happy to see you here. So hi, Rakita. And Lindsay, both of you have joined the panel tonight. We're so happy to have you here. Rakita, Chris said this when he opened, but you all can feel free to use your camera and you can unmute yourself at any time. We hope this is more of a conversation than like a lecture style format. We really want to just share some information. We have transfers here joining us tonight to give you some insight into how they were successful and had good experiences transferring into Seton Hill. So that's what tonight is really about. It's all about you answering any questions you have and getting some tips and insight from the transfer students who have done this before. So I would love to turn this over and let them introduce themselves to you tonight. And I'm going to tell them I'm going to go according to my screen. So Bree, you'll be up first, followed by Caitlin and Arwen, and then Tom, just so you have a moment to do that. And if you all can introduce yourself, tell folks where you're from, what year you are, what your major is, a little bit about your transfer story, and maybe something fun you have done this summer or plan to do this summer would be a great way to do it. And then we'll let the students introduce themselves. So Bree, will you start us off?
Of course I will. Thanks, Rosalie. So I am Bree Bell. I am the Graduate Assistant of Student Leadership and Engagement here on the Hill. I am a recent graduate of the class of 2022. My undergraduate major was elementary and special education. I'm also currently a teacher off of the Hill, but on the Hill, I am continuing my education to get my master's in education for critical and cultural literacy. That is pretty much in a nutshell what I do. I also work a little bit with Res Life, and in my undergrad, I worked as an orientation leader as well. So this is nice to be back. I'm also a transfer student in my undergraduate. I transferred from Marshall University in West Virginia up to Seton Hill. Seton Hill is closer to home. I'm from Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes away, not too far, not past North Huntington a little bit, if you're from the area and are familiar with that. One fun thing I did this summer, I've been traveling a lot, and my favorite place that I've gone has been Colorado. And I think that's it. Am I right, Rosalie? Did I hit them all? Okay. And I'll get into my transfer story. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little more, but I want the undergrads and the orientation leaders to take the role here.
Fantastic. Caitlin.
Hello, my name's Caitlin. I am a senior now, exercise science major. I'm from an SMPA. It's about 30 minutes. So I'm also a commuter. So if any of you are commuters, I can answer those questions as well. Yeah, I transferred from Gannon University up in Erie at the beginning of my sophomore year. This year was the first time in 10 years that I've taken a family vacation. So we went to Aruba. So my parents have been saving up for quite a while for that. And yeah, I think I hit everything.
Thanks, Caitlin. Go ahead, Arwen.
Hi, I'm Arwen. I am technically a sophomore. I'm from Leechburg. I didn't know if it's about a 40-minute drive to Seton Hill. I did commute last semester as my first semester there. This year I'm staying on campus, but I transferred from Washington and Jefferson, and it's not that big of a difference, but it's great. A good thing I did this summer is we went to the beach. That was pretty fun.
That's awesome. Thank you. Tom.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to make sure that I get everything right. So if I miss anything, please let me know. But so I'm a little bit older than everyone. I didn't start until I was 29 years old, and I started down at Westmoreland County Community College, so 3Cs. I actually transferred to Seton Hill at the for the tail end of my sophomore year, and that was 3 semesters ago. So this will be the tail end of my junior year coming up. I am currently doing marketing and finance. And actually, you know what? Crazy story. I actually got a job this summer doing marketing. So realistically, if you're willing to put in the time, I promise you guys, you can find whatever you're looking for in your field. Yeah. I'm also a commuter. I'm down here in New Stanton. So just like Caitlin said, if anyone has any questions, her and I can both answer those as well. Looking forward to talking with you guys.
Thanks, Tom. We appreciate it. Lindsay and Rakita, we would love if you all could introduce yourself. You do not have to come on camera, and you're welcome to use the chat. We just really love to know where you're from, maybe what year you are in school, if you've done a couple of years and now are transferring, or 1 year, and what you're studying, and maybe if you're going to be living on campus or not. So we welcome you to join us on camera or not, in the chat, or however you would like to do that. So Lindsay, you are on my screen first. So if you wouldn't mind jumping in, we would love to hear from you. Okay, you do not need to, no problem. We're going to respect your space. Maybe you're doing something else, you're at work and you can't talk to us, and that's okay too. We had a student last year that did that. She came like on during break and then like went back and work. So Bree's nodding, no problem. Rakita, would you want to introduce yourself? Just tell us a little bit about you so we can kind of gear the conversation to you. Okay. No problem at all. No problem at all. We're happy to have you guys tonight in whatever capacity you want. So why don't we go ahead and, oh, you'll do in the chat. Thank you. Go ahead. We'll give you a few minutes to type that out. That's awesome. We appreciate you telling us about you. So that way, if we know your major, or if you're on campus, or if you guys are commuters, if you're looking for a job, if you're working, all those kinds of things, we have folks with such different experiences here. They can really tailor their comments or anything that they think might be helpful to you if we know just a little bit more about you. So we appreciate that. So while you're typing into us, oh, let's call you Ricky. Go ahead. That's awesome. Going for studio art, and we'll be living off campus, hopefully a work study student. All good things to know. So we can absolutely talk about that a little bit, and life in our arts buildings. They're beautiful and fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about that. I'm going to throw the first question to the panel, and I'm going to go a little off script because I want to chime in about work study or campus employment. Can any of you speak to that? Let's give Ricky some advice on what they can do in regards to coming to campus, how they can find out about jobs that may be available, maybe what is a job you had, what salary could they potentially expect to be paid, etc. So if anyone wants to speak to work experience they had on campus, that'd be great.
Okay, I was a work study for a solid semester during my junior year. I worked at the Child Development Center on campus. That is more geared towards elementary students, but when I was there towards the tail end of my experience, we did have an art major. I believe she was majoring in art therapy. It was art therapy or music therapy, but still on the artistic side of things. And she was able to use her background and help the students in that way as well. So some things you might be like, oh, childcare might be a hobby of mine, or you're like, absolutely not. Childcare is not a hobby of mine. You go into SHU and you find where it says work study, I believe under online services, if I'm correct. Yes, all the way at the bottom under online services on SHU. You can go to the work study system. I believe there should be jobs posted there. You might not have access to them right away. So you'll want to contact financial aid to talk to them about your eligibility to sign up for a work study, and they'll get you squared away. They'll help you. They're super helpful. They'll get your I-9s filled out. They'll get all the paperwork filled out for you. They're super hands-on with students as well. So if you're like, oh, I've never filled out any of this paperwork, Bree, what is an I-9? I've never heard of that a day in my life. Been there, done that. I feel you. I did not know what an I-9 was. I've now filled out 20 of them in my life. So it's a very easygoing, nice transition into finding a work on campus. So if you need any help with that, financial aid is your place to go.
Super good advice. And if anyone else had a job, jump in. I do want to let you know, Ricky, the student wage for on campus is a minimum of $10 an hour. So our student employees do get pretty competitive wages. There's some jobs in different offices across campus that are more like 8 to 5 type of jobs. There's jobs in the library that are 7 a.m. to midnight and on the weekends. There's jobs in athletics that are very night and weekend heavy when there's athletic matches. There's work in the dining hall and with our catering. So there's a lot of different options depending on your scheduling. So if you need any help, let us know. But Bree gave you good advice. When you're in SHU, scroll to the bottom, click work study, and it'll help you figure out what jobs are open. And just kind of ask around, and folks love to do that. We hire students in our office all the time. So that's helpful. So good. Thanks, Bree, for jumping in on that. So just want to add, let's go back to some of the questions that we have had oftentimes before for students. Will you share a little bit about your personal transfer experience? What were you most nervous about when you were coming, and what have you found that has been helpful? So a little bit about your transfer story. What were you most nervous about, and what did you find as a result of that? So let's go in the reverse order, maybe, that we did before. So that would be Tom, Arwen, then Caitlin, and Bree. So Tom, will you kick us off on anything you were nervous about in your transfer journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind being put on the spot. So when I initially came, because 3Cs uses a different system to track all of your work and whatnot, transferring, like getting used to the system that Seton Hill uses was something that took a minute for me, but beyond that, it was fairly simple. I think that was the most challenging thing, I would say. Other than that, just getting the hang of where everything is, what you can and can't do, and yada yada yada. As far as like being a commuter and not being part of the athletic teams, not being able to use the field house and having to use the weight room in McKenna, just getting the hang of things like that.
Awesome. Arwen.
So I mainly transferred because the school I picked wasn't the right place for me. And then funny story was I actually broke a record transferring. Classes started in the spring on a Tuesday. The Thursday before is when I came to visit, apply, get accepted and deposit in like a minimum of 8 hours. And so it was very hectic, and I wasn't even moved out of my dorm yet from my other school. It was just a big hectic thing. And then trying to learn how to use Canvas instead of Sakai, it was very confusing. And teachers would just be like, okay, open this up. And I would have to raise my hand and be like, what is that? Where do I find it? But a lot of teachers are helpful with that, and they'll go through and explain it with you. But definitely just getting used to where everything is, because I would always be calling my friend asking her where everything is, or asking my sister where everything was, and it's just a lot to get used to.
Awesome. Caitlin.
Similar to Arwen, I transferred because I just wasn't fitting in and I didn't feel like I had a place on campus. I just felt like that kind of like outcast person. I wasn't making friends or anything like that. So that was probably like my biggest fear transferring. I was like, oh my gosh, like what if I pick the wrong place again? Like what if I go through this all over again and for no reason? And thankfully I didn't. So that was like my biggest fear. But I think connecting with my professor, who's also the head of the exercise science department, was pretty influential in like the first couple weeks of how I like managed my way around campus and how much more comfortable he made me felt about transferring, and you know I'll still graduate on time and everything else like that. So
I transferred to Seton Hill because I was extremely homesick. I went to a school 4 hours away from home and realized that wasn't for me whatsoever. So again, it was a last minute decision. I knew I had to get out. Seton Hill had never been on my horizons, but I was like, please get me home ASAP. So I transferred to Seton Hill. It was the complete opposite of what I was looking for in a university. I was looking for a big school, lots of, you know, woo sorts of things that are like in your face. Like I wanted to do all of the crazy things that come with college. And so I was like, oh, I don't know if, you know, staying at home was a great fit for me. So eventually made my way back here and it was the perfect fit for me. I was super scared to go from 14,000 students to about, what are we, 1,400 students. I felt like I wouldn't have any friends. I felt like it'd be hard to get involved, but it was the exact opposite. It was way easier to get involved at Seton Hill than I could have ever imagined. And I think that's why I felt so left out at my first school, because I couldn't get involved. I really struggled. But at Seton Hill, they really make it about the student. They want you to be successful. They want to see you change the university that you're coming to have change you. They want it to be a mutual experience. They don't just want you to walk away with a degree in 4 years and say, oh, what did I do here? No, you will get involved, you will have fun, you will meet the most amazing people. And eventually, you know, you might end up working for Seton Hill one day like I did. I know I never imagined that when I started my educational career. So you never know what'll happen, but my advice to you is to, you know, just dive right in, get involved, meet as many people as you can. It's a lot bigger than it may seem. So yes, get involved, say hello to everyone that you can.
That's great advice. Thank you guys for sharing your stories and what you were nervous about and kind of how it's played out for you over time. One of the things that I think always interest transfers is making sure that they get the most out of their class transfers. Does anybody want to speak to, was it difficult to get your courses transferred over? What was that process like? If Ricky had questions about that, who should they speak to around classes and transferring and making sure they get the most out of what they've already taken?
I can speak to that. So Gannon is the same as Seton Hill. It's a private Catholic university. So I was able to luckily transfer everything that I'd taken at Gannon to Seton Hill. In one way or another, everything counted towards something. And my the lady in the office that helped me was Amanda Godula. I can't ever say her last name, I'm sorry. But she was so helpful. Like anytime I had a question, she answered within the hour and had the perfect answer. It wasn't like, it was just incredible how she was able to put me in the right spots for everything that I had questions about. And she connected me with the head of the department. He was able to go over what all of my credits counted towards for the major itself. And it was super simple for me. I don't know if that would be the same case for everyone else, just because if you didn't come from a Catholic private university, you might not have the ability to transfer everything. But yeah, I think that it was super easy. You can go to Office of Admissions, they'll help you out.
Thanks, Caitlin. Amanda is a super resource, and I bet Ricky does know her because all the transfers work with Amanda. And she, if she doesn't know it, she will find the answer to your question in like an hour or less. She is amazing. So Ricky, if you have any questions about that, definitely connect with Amanda. Let's talk about transitioning to campus, welcome weekend. Transfers sometimes have done orientation at other schools. Do they need to do that again? Who wants to speak to that? Who maybe came in August and would have gone through that? Should a transfer student attend welcome weekend? What should they expect for that weekend?
I did transfer in for August as well. Mine was a little bit different than what you guys are getting. I had to do a lot of virtual sessions up until welcome weekend. Everything was online, but during welcome weekend, I think I had a fun time. There was lots of events still, despite COVID, still being at it. It's high and all that. So you really want to like put aside some all your work schedules and everything that you might have had planned for that weekend and stay on campus the entire time. I promise that it will change your experience starting out here. There's so many activities, so much information that you will learn. Maybe you didn't know that you didn't know it, and you'll learn it then. It's just honestly probably the easiest way to get to know Seton Hill immediately. So I definitely recommend staying the entire time.
Good advice, Caitlin. And I think, Ricky, it's important to know too that there are sessions for transfer students. So you'll be in sessions with other transfers and be able to be in meet and greet with your faculty. We'll take students down to the visual and performing arts buildings to meet with your faculty down there during welcome weekend. Your faculty want to welcome you and meet you. So there's so much to choose from in those couple of days. It's not just for residents or traditional undergrads who are doing this for the first time. We do some specialized stuff for you all too. So it's a good schedule, and hopefully you'll find it helpful for you to begin classes. So let's talk about it, because each faculty member is different. Each school we've been to is a little bit different. Can folks think about some tips, anything related to classes and working with our faculty that you find really helpful or maybe found different from your institution? Anything that would be helpful in that academic transition. I remember I was really nervous because I had really small classes and I was used to much bigger classes, and that made me nervous in that regard. So if anyone wants to share any tips or things that they observed about classes and working with our faculty.
Sure, I'll go. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Our professors are there for us. They want to see us succeed as much as we want to succeed. So if you have questions, ask your questions. If you're having issues because of weather or something like that, because we are coming up on fall and winter. And if you are a commuter, communicate that with them, let them know. As a veteran, I have other issues that I have to deal with outside of, academia. And I have never had an issue communicating that with my professors and them taking issue with anything. In fact, they've been more than willing to provide whatever information that I needed up front for that class if I was going to miss it. So the biggest thing that I can absolutely stress is communicate. Other than that, 15 minutes, we have 20 minutes between classes. If you take 10 minutes to get to where you're going, 5 minutes to get set up, and then you go use the restroom beforehand, by the time the class starts, you're already ready to go and ready to focus in. So I would definitely say time management is another thing. Definitely keep that in the back of your guys' head.
Yeah, I agree with him. Communication is a lot because they will work with you. I was the only commuter in my one class, and my teacher would always be emailing me saying, hey, we're going to have a really short class today. If I'm your only class, just let me know. Like, don't bother coming in. It was like a 20-minute class, but I already had a class beforehand, so I just stayed. But they really do like look out for you and everything. Like, we had a really bad weather watch one day, and I emailed all my teachers and was like, hey, I'm really scared to drive home if a storm does hit. I'm not coming to campus today. They just explained everything that we were doing, and they posted it on Canvas, and I was able to do it before the deadline. But the other thing is, we do have like that 20-minute period. If you have to go down to the arts building, say you have to walk there because of the transportation, talk to your next teacher. They probably will be more than okay with you walking in later than most students, because I have to do that this semester and it's not going to be fun.
Another piece of advice is using office hours. I love going to office hours, and the professors also love having you come to office hours. They set them aside specifically to meet with you, and most people don't meet with their professors during that time. So definitely utilize those. Even if you're just, talking about life, talking about class, I'm sure they would love to see you and get to know you. So definitely utilize those.
Those are awesome tips. I think too, just like remembering your faculty are human beings with like families and stuff too. And if you do go to their offices, you can, ask them about a picture on their desk or where they went to school. I find our faculty really kind, and they choose to teach here because they love it. They love working with students and they want to get to know you. So those are great tips. And communication, time management, office hours, you guys are solid. Those are excellent tips. So let me ask a question about involvement. For those of you that are involved, how did you get involved? How did you choose? Because everybody's really busy. What to get involved in as a transfer student. So who wants to speak to that?
Definitely look on Shine for everything. Because if I didn't look on Shine when I did, I wouldn't have been able to try out for the cheer team. And I'm glad that I did, because that's like my number one thing to do to keep me happy. But definitely always keep a lookout on Shine.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what made me want to get really involved was just knowing that it's going to strengthen my abilities later on in my career field. So I did, like Arwen, I went on Shine and I just scrolled, especially when I knew I was transferring here, and I was like, well, I want to see what like I can get involved with, what they're going to offer. And I saw orientation later. I knew what it was just from doing the virtual sessions and whatnot. And like, I didn't give it a second thought until after my first semester. I was like, I think that I could really be like good at this. Like I can make a difference on the team. So that's how I ended up choosing that. But I've also gotten involved with a couple clubs and whatnot. I definitely would stick to Tom's advice with time management, especially if you plan on having a work study, and depending on your course load. Something that I try to stick by is no more than 2 to 3 clubs, because you want to be involved and you want to be able to give yourself the opportunity to take bigger roles in those clubs as well. And you can't be, a secretary, a treasurer of all those clubs. So definitely time management, including everything that you want to be involved in and you plan to be involved in outside campus as well.
I would say know what your goals are. Absolutely, like sit down, figure out what you want to do, and make sure that your number one goal for the semester is to absolutely get your money's worth from your classes. Beyond that, whatever you choose to do, there's either going to be a club for it, there's going to be someone that's going to be involved in something with it. Just so you guys know, I think the volleyball team is still going to be doing their games up in Sullivan Gym. There's the outdoor adventure club. Outdoor adventure club. For anyone that likes forensic science or anything like that, we have a forensic science club. There's a criminal justice club. If you can think it, it's probably already a club. If not, there are people that can help you create it. Don't be afraid to do it. And the biggest thing that I would absolutely stress is if you haven't been doing it yet, set aside time for your health, for your mental health, to de-stress, whether that's going to the weight room and get your stress out that way, or go for a jog or whatever. Definitely set that time aside for yourself, because that's just going to help you focus that much more. So.
Awesome.
Like Tom mentioned, I am one of the people that can help you make a club a reality if you need it to. My supervisor can, at least. And then also the involvement fair is a great time to find different clubs, what they offer, and the different organizations as well. So if you would like to be an orientation leader, there will be a table for them as well, RAs as well, anything you want.
Awesome. I love it. I want to be conscious of time, so I'm going to ask one more question of the group, and then we'll see if Ricky has any questions. Ricky, if you have any questions for the team, feel free to throw them in the chat. And that way we can make sure that you leave with every piece of information you want. But I would love to know, what is one thing that you all wish you would have known before you transferred? One thing that you have learned that you wish you would have known before you started.
Get here early if you commute. All my classes started at like noon the days that I drove, and I'm lucky that I came up during lunch, so people were leaving because their morning classes were over. But if you have a morning class, make sure you're like one of the first people there, or you're doing a really big hike and it's not fun.
Yes, the hill is beautiful, but it is tough to walk with your backpack and all those things. Good tips. Parking is, it's available. You've just got to plan. So that's a good tip. Good tip, Marwin. Other folks, one thing you wish you knew.
You're going to spend a lot of time studying. Get very, very familiar with the library, as well as some of the other studying areas around campus. There's plenty. There's at least one or two pavilions. There's a couple of picnic tables. There's the quad itself. There's the library. There's tables all over the place. But find a place that you're most comfortable. Get yourself situated and get used to spending quite a bit of time doing just that. If you really want to be successful at this stuff, guys, that's probably the best advice I got.
I would say to just know what's available to you. I did not come in with a welcome weekend or an orientation. My orientation had, I think, about 3 to 5 people in it. So it was very small. It was more meeting your advisor. So do as much as you can welcome weekend and get to know your resources, get to know academic services, get to know the mental health services, get to know the IT services, get to know where you can find help when you need help, or just find ways to get involved in all of those little areas.
Honestly, I'm not sure, but I think that if I were in the same position now that I were 2 years ago, I would want to know just that everything's going to work out. I mean, you might think it's not. You might think that transferring is just going to be even harder, and it's not. Everyone at Seton Hill is here for you. And that it's okay to change majors and change career paths and all that kind of stuff as well. So definitely just know that you're supported here.
It's a nice message, Caitlin. I think I remember when I came to Seton Hill for my interview, it's kind of like my orientation. And I was like, there's no way all these people are this nice. Like they can't be this nice. It's just, it must be on this day. Like there must just be something going on that I don't know about. And I can honestly say 5 years later, everyone is just as nice. People open the door, they say hello. We are here to help. Your faculty care about you. Some of your classmates may be very shy, and you may feel like they're not talking to me and no one talks to me. I think it's just some shyness, but if you're comfortable saying hello, I think it opens the doors, and vice versa. People will get that courage in a couple of weeks of class. But we're so excited for all the transfer students to come. You're all savvy. You know what you want and what you don't want. And you're ready to take and maximize your experience. Like Tom said, you're paying some big bucks. So take advantage of every opportunity and know that we are here to help you. So Ricky, I didn't see you populate anything in the chat for questions. Let me scroll down. So if you don't have anything else in particular that you want to know, I'm gonna, oh, there we go. Oh, that is such two like really important good points. So I'm gonna let anyone jump in and respond to those comments. Yeah.
The classroom sizes aren't that big compared to what I'm used to. They definitely, like, teachers do make you feel welcome, and they do a lot of icebreakers in the beginning, or at least in the education field. I know that for sure. But they do like respect like your boundaries and everything. So whatever you're comfortable with, they try to push you out of that. But if you're not ready, they don't really force you.
What about transitioning to, yes, we'll get to that. Is it a maze? What about transitioning to Apple products? I don't know if you all grew up with them. Can anyone, Caitlin, you kind of smiled there for a minute. Do you want to speak to that transition and how that's worked for you?
We're mailing them out again this year, correct? Okay, so as soon as you get it in the mail, open it up and just start playing around on it and start searching. That's what I had to do because I didn't use, I have an Apple phone, but I didn't use like Apple laptops or anything like that. It was definitely a new experience because it's a whole different interface, and just where everything's located is not where you think it would be, which was super frustrating. But if you go to IT, they can help you find some of that. If sometimes your professors are going to know more just because they've been using the technology longer than you have. I still struggle to use the screen, like connect my laptop to screens, especially when I'm presenting and stuff. Like I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Someone else needs to come up here. And we have teachers, you'll have professors that ask you if you know how to fix things. Nope, not a clue. But definitely just play around with the laptop. And then email IT. They're available like 24/7. I think I emailed them last week at like 11 o'clock at night, and I got an email back saying like, we'll find a way to fix that. And I was like, okay, cool.
We also during
Mm.
Welcome Weekend have a Meet Your Mac session. So be sure to come to that because they will help you a lot as well.
So quick tip. I don't know, like for me, I'd like to have a mouse or something. I hate using like the tactile ones on that are come on the laptop itself. So like you can pick one of these up at like Walmart for like $30. Actually, I think that might even be overestimating the price, but that definitely helped me with the learning curve for going from what was it? I think I got a not Mac, an HP. I got an HP. Going to the Apple products and whatnot. So there's ways around it. If you have questions, I'm sure someone can help you figure it out. Yeah.
Sorry, I realized I was muted. What about Ricky's question about, is the campus a maze? How long did it take folks to kind of figure out their way around?
So I would definitely recommend, if not showing up maybe a little bit early. I mean, I definitely showed up a little bit early. But have your have your classes, like your class list out, and where the building, like it'll have the buildings, the room, etc. And then take like a day or so to just get acquainted with the campus. It's not, honestly, it's not a big campus. Everything is fairly, fairly close to each other. And if you have any questions, flag someone down. We're more than happy to help you guys out.
There is also a point during Welcome Weekend where orientation leaders can take you through your class schedule. And that is very helpful.
So they take you through and help you find your classrooms, right? It's in the schedule. So yeah, Ricky, you're not alone. It happens often. It's one of our most popular sessions where students will get to go with orientation leaders around and find their classrooms before the first day of class. So helpful. It just gives you a sense of confidence that you know where you're going and where you've been. And if you get turned around, the good thing is there's so many folks out in the hall. We have faculty and folks around campus who are designed to kind of help and take care of those things as well. So it took me, I would say, about 3 weeks to a month to figure out where I needed to go most. The good thing was there's so many ways to get there. There's not just one way in or out of buildings, which is great. So once you can find your shortcuts, there's not just one way of doing something, but it's also tricky because there's not just one way of doing something. So depending on who I walked with, we would go a different way. And I learned that. So just be patient with yourself and ask questions and don't hesitate. And I would say, you shared with us openly, and I so appreciate that. And I appreciate you sharing about having social anxiety. There are so many of us that suffer from social anxiety, and it impacts us different ways at different times. And I think that is one of the beauties of Seton Hill, is that people are truly kind, and people do understand that and want you to feel comfortable. So the fact that you can own that with us is a great thing. And I think you've made a really good choice to be in a place that hopefully should always feel safe to you. At times uncomfortable, but should always feel safe for you. So that's really, really, I appreciate you sharing that in this regard. What else? How else can we help you, or any other questions that you have that feel free to pop them in the chat. The last question on my question sheet is a little bit of a reflective one. At the end of the day, for the four of you, are you glad you transferred to SHU? Bree's eyes got really big.
Yeah, definitely was life-changing. Everyone was so helpful and I was a lot better of a person. I was a lot happier, and it just made my life a complete 180.
That's
I
awesome.
always say that I sound really cheesy when I say it, but Seton Hill has changed my life completely. I was a different person when I walked through the front door of this place in January of 2019 than I am now. Again, never would have seen myself working here. Rosalie spoke at my orientation of a whole 5 people. When I tell you there were 5 students, there were more parents and families in the room than there were students. It was actually pretty funny. But she spoke at my orientation. Now she is my supervisor somewhere up the chain of command. And it's just a very full circle moment for me to be in here right now. But take advantage of everything that you can while you're here. You're paying for it in some way, shape, or form. So just get involved, just smile at people, let people smile at you. You'll find your way. It's terrifying to transfer schools, especially if you're coming from a not so great situation at your first university. But if you're coming from a good situation, that's also a plus too. But yeah, just open arms, open minds. That's what it's all about.
Of course, I'm happy I transferred here. I don't know. My parents saw such a big change in my personality, they said, and my overall happiness has definitely changed just even in the past year, just getting deeper into my major and everything else. And, I'm almost to the end. My fall is like the last time I'll be taking classes because in the spring I have an internship and it's just like, holy crap, like I'm already here. I'm already finished. I don't want to be finished. Like I want to stay. I remember like when I first transferred, I was driving home and I'm like, man, I don't want to leave. Like I wish I could like stay right now, but I had to go to work. Like I don't want to leave campus. I want to stay up here. It's just you'll fall in love a lot faster than you could ever imagine.
I am absolutely happy with the decision to come here. Um, so like I said, I have issues that I deal with from from my time in service. And honestly, just being able to challenge myself, not only academically, but like to put myself into positions. Like I also have social anxiety. I don't like being around a lot of people. I really don't. And in order for me to combat that, I put myself at the front of the class so that way I know exactly like I know there's a bunch of people behind me. I don't like that, but they're there. So for me, being able to challenge myself and the things that Seton Hill has enabled me to be able to do, I think they've definitely made me a better person, a more well-rounded person, and they've definitely helped me with some of the issues that I've dealt with or that I've been having to deal with in my life. So yeah, I'm absolutely happy I made the decision to come here.
It's nice to hear, and I'm glad that's been your experiences. So perfect. Oh, good questions. I'll let y'all pick one out of there and go ahead and jump out.
So we do trips. Actually we went to DC last year. That was one of the ones that I was a part of. That was a good experience. Let me tell you, it was interesting walking up to the Capitol and trying to speak to my elected representatives in the midst of everything that was going on. Also, if you guys don't mind me commenting, we do. I know at least as far as last semester, we were still doing the study abroad. I know that we had Italy. I believe there was something in Spain, which I'm sure Rosalie can correct me if I'm wrong. But I do know that there was some opportunities in Ireland that were going on. So yeah, I think those are definitely as long as those are still going. I mean, definitely something to look into.
Yeah, the DC trip, it was a $5 mystery trip because I went to, and all I paid was $5 and then whatever I bought down there. And they do a couple other ones. I don't know how many they do because I transferred in the spring, but all you do is pay $5, get on a bus, and you go somewhere. But and then de-stressing, there's like an overlook at one point. I went up there, it was so calm and relaxing, and you're by yourself, not really anyone goes up there. If you ever see me on campus, I'll show it where it is. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
Aside from sort of study abroad, but not study abroad, we also do alternative break trips. So during like spring break or like fall break, I believe the trips are usually about 2 weeks. 1 week you do service, and then the other week I think you're just like there in the place and just kind of having whatever fun you have as a group with our service outreach and just having a good time.
Yes, good tips. So study abroad can happen for a full semester, like a fall and spring. It is very common, and to the trips that Tom mentioned before, that those trips happen in what we call Maymaster. So it's after spring semester ends for 3 to 6 weeks. And we have students and faculty that do a lot of trips then. So if you're an athlete or you need to work, you're not gone for a full semester, but we do classes like in summer school for 3 credits or 6 credits going abroad. Sometimes they'll take a class in the spring semester to prepare to go abroad. So there's a study abroad office and in the College of Humanities, and they send out information on trips and things like that. And we'll make sure you're connected to that. And then my favorite spot probably to like de-stress when I need a minute is I like to be in the quad at a picnic table. That's one of my favorite spots. There's a lot of picnic tables out. There's some like rocking swings and those kinds of things. And those are really fun spots too. So I was going to ask you, Kylie, about that, the gallery field trips. I know that there's a class that does gallery field trips to the city of Pittsburgh and do lots of things there. So that's some good information from Kylie for your major as well. Good classes. All right. Anyone have anything else they want to jump in on that? Ricky, it's been so nice presenting with you tonight, and thank you for asking such good questions. You are more than welcome for our advice and tips. You will see us all at Welcome Weekend and orientation in August. Say hello, let us know if you're lost, let us, like, whatever you need. We're going to find you and come say hey and make sure you're doing okay. But tonight's been really nice. I want to turn it back over to Chris to kind of officially wrap us up.
As I have said to our panelists previously, but thank you all for being here, and thank you, Ricky, for joining us tonight. Any of the remaining sessions can be viewed on our Road to the Hill website, which is roadtothehill.setonhill.edu, or the flyer. Follow Student Life if you are not already, because that is where you will find all and majority of your student activities that happen on campus and just anything going on about campus in general throughout the semester and leading up to Welcome Weekend, because we are just under a month away. Very exciting. On Wednesday, July 27th, we have our final Road to the Hill session, preparing for next steps at 7 p.m. And that is all that I have for you. Kylie, do you have anything? Gotcha. Well, that is all that I have. So I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And if you see me on campus, we are all friendly, smiling faces. So just stop by and say hello. Have a good day.
Take care, y'all.
See you guys.
Thanks, everyone. I'm sorry I scared Lindsay off.